It is Tuesday the 27th, which means it is week 21 of my weekly reads. I typically start these on Monday, but Monday we had a lot of really exciting house things. I just didn't get to film this video. So I'm going to share with you the 7 books I'm in the middle of. Yes, 7. That's a very typical number for me. And then I'm going to share this month's goals and see if I can meet them. One of them I don't think is a possibility. We'll have to see based on the week's reading. But first things first, the 7 books I'm in the middle of. The first one is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This is the 4th and final book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. So far, we have followed siblings. However, this book, the baby mama to one of the siblings story, and they have a really good relationship, really good friendship, and so she is very much treated like a daughter, and her name is Cam, and at the beginning of the book she's going to get married, but she ends up at a bar with Dusty, and Dusty's the one who got away. I'm only 10% into it, but I'm eating it up. I absolutely love the two of them, and I love romance when it's dual point of view, so I'm very excited to read this last installment in the series. And that's an ebook. An audiobook I'm listening to is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Mistborn saga. I have been very intimidated to start any of his books, and so I put it on hold and just kind of kept pushing off my hold, but I decided, or a few days ago was the day to start it. It is a 25-hour audiobook. I'm about 8% of the way through. I feel like I'm still getting my bearings on everything and all the people. So there's just lots going on. And part of what intimidates me is this whole universe. I really am trying to pay attention because not only does it affect this series, but other series as well. So I am 10% into that. The second ebook that I'm reading is The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose. This is the 3rd book in the Molly the Maid series. In this book, Molly the Maid is our main character. A group of treasure hunters are coming to the hotel. They value different things. So Molly gathers up some things, and one of her things is so valuable that it goes viral and everyone's giving her attention. However, it does go missing, but while we're doing that, we're also getting her grandma's timeline. Her grandma has passed away, but her grandma lived a very interesting life, and we're getting some of that backstory now. It is a backstory that you wouldn't necessarily guess as you've read the other books, but it's very interesting, and I'm curious to see how it all ties together. And I am 50% through The Maid's Secret. The 4th book is technically an ebook as well, but it is the book that I read when I do my Bible time in the morning, and it is Whispers of Hope by Beth Moore. I am 47% of the way through. I'm liking this, not loving it. It is split up into 70 like mini chapters, which I just feel like is very choppy. I think I like devotionals that have longer sections, and I myself can just chop it up if I need to based on time. I feel like I don't get enough if I read just one, but then they don't necessarily always connect super well from one to the other. So there's definitely been some valuable bits and bobs throughout the book, so I will continue that. I am a few days behind in my Bible reading. I will work on catching up in the next couple of days. We have just had, as I said, so much going on. So I don't believe I changed the percentage on that from last week. It's 37%. The other book that I do during that Bible time is a gratitude journal, and I started numbering the pages last week, but I need to continue that this week and just numbering all the pages so I can give you a better idea of the percentage through I am. I definitely will be taking this into 2026 because I miss days and don't catch up. The last book is my physical book, and it's The Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. It is the 3rd and final book in the Rook and Rose trilogy. This is a trilogy I like but don't love. Hoping to finish that book this week. I am 47% of the way through. It is my morning book, so I need to work on getting up in the mornings, which is really hard, especially now this summertime. And with that, my reading routine will be changing, so we'll see when I actually read that book. That is my 7th book I'm in the middle of. So we're going to quickly go over the 3 goals I set for May. The first one was to finish up 7 series, and these are the 7 series. So I completed that goal. My second goal was to read 2 books off the Rory Gilmore book list, and I did do that. These are the 2. My third goal was to read 2 books off the 25 books I want to read in 2025, and I read 0 of those. So the first one that I think I'm going to work on after the books I just shared is Waves of Hope. It is the 2nd book in the Sanderling Inn series, and I really enjoyed the first one. I just need to get on the second one. And then I don't know what my second book for 2025 will be. This is my list. So I need to pick one of those. There's one or two that are pretty short that I might be able to read, but I need to finish the books I'm currently in the middle of to be able to work on either of those books. We will see if I make that goal. I have a feeling I won't, but that's okay. That's just trying to keep me on track. So I'll just have to read more later in the year. So welcome to week 21.
Editing, Annalise here. I just got back from the pool, so we're going to go over The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose. This is the third book in the Molly and the Maid series. I feel like I've given you a pretty good synopsis of this book thus far, where Molly's a maid and there are treasure hunters coming to the hotel. So she brings treasures. One is super valuable and she gets a lot of attention, which she's not used to, and it goes missing. There's notes involved. And then we're getting her grandma's diary and we're seeing how her grandma came about this item and other people that it's been connected to. I really enjoyed this book and I ended up giving it 4.25 stars.
It is May 30th at 9 p.m. and I have 2 books that I want to finish in the next 27 hours because I finished 0 books off the 25 books I want to read in 2025. And the first one of those books is Sandy Wishes by Judith Keem. It is the second book in the Sanderson Cove series. I'm currently 68% of the way through and my Kindle says I have 1 hour and 17 minutes. So not too bad. However, I will say I have no idea what the next 27 hours is going to look like for me. So the weekend is always a lot more unpredictable, especially this weekend because we don't have any set plans, but we have a lot of things we need to do. The second book is Leaf of Faith. Both of these books I won in a Goodreads giveaway, but I did start this last night. I got to 7% and it says I have 3 hours and 33 minutes left. At 4 hours and 45 minutes, can I read that in the next 27 hours? It sounds very doable. However, I'm a mom of 3, a husband I like to spend time with, and there's a lot of chaos in my life currently. I would love to finish Sandy Wishes tonight. I'm also very, very tired. I will keep you updated on the progress. It is 10:42 p.m. and I finished Sandy Kisses by Judith Keem. I will insert my review now because I am not doing it right now.
We are back again with a review, and it is Sandy Wishes by Judith Keem. This is the second book in the Sanderson Cove series. This book follows a grandma that wants her 3 granddaughters to find love, so she invites them back to the cove where grandma owns an inn. Grandma goes off and leaves this inn with these 3 granddaughters, Charlotte, Brooke, and Olivia, and in each book they are finding love. However, each book we get perspectives from all 4 women, and so you're very unsure who is going to find love in each book. In the first book, one of the granddaughters does find love, and so we still get her perspective in the second book, and we get to see some fallout from things we found out in the first book. And so in this book, you're down to 2 granddaughters, and even when you figure out which granddaughter the story is about, that granddaughter has 2 love interests. I really enjoyed how it was all brought together, but I feel like it's a very interesting romance because you don't know who the romance is about until you're more into the book. As I said, this is one of the 25 books I wanted to read in 2025, and I ended up giving it 4 stars.
But I think I'm awake enough to continue reading Leaf of Faith. It is a cozy paranormal mystery. It's currently about a witch who's learning about potions and her grandma's sick. I am 7% of the way through this book, and so we're just learning about the town she lives in, the job she has, and her family. I'm going to continue reading this for a little bit, probably the next 10-15 minutes, but I'm really excited. I got one of the 25 books I want to read in 2025 done.
I finished Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Mistborn saga and the first book I'm reading from the Cosmosphere. I read another Brandon Sanderson book, the Skyward series, but it's not connected. At least I don't believe so. The world has been a wasteland for 1,000 years, and Counselor ends up getting powers, and so he starts recruiting all the famous, important people to overthrow the Saka. And Counselor ends up recruiting Vin, Vin. Vin has lived a very hard life and so doesn't trust easily. And her and Kessler end up in a little bit of a romance. Kessler's plan is definitely not a likely to succeed plan, but I really enjoyed this book and am excited to read the rest of the books. I ended up giving this book 4 stars.
It is March 31st at 8 o'clock p.m. and I am 22% into Resilient Redneck. I decided to read that book instead of Leap of Faith because it was shorter. I still have about 2 hours left in Resilient Redneck though. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish it tonight. I don't know what our evening plans are. We just got home and changed and we're brushing our teeth and doing all the evening activities. This is also one of the 25 books I'm gonna read in 2025. Good news is even if I don't get it done today, I'll for sure get it done tomorrow. I would have technically made my goal for the month, but what's a couple hours? I'll just have to finish 3 in June, which I'll already have 1 done, so I'll be fine. And I might do Leap of Faith. I really wanted to read that one during like October time. I was a-okay switching to Resilient Redneck. It is June 1st, and I did not finish Resilient Redneck, which is okay. My goal for June will just be to read 3 books off the 25 books I want to read in 2025, and I will already have like 1 done. I just need to keep chugging along on this list. I found a few that are pretty quick if I need them. They did the months now when I was going through everything, and then there's some that are like second or thirds in series, so I need to start the series. There's one that I think it's like the 7th or something, so I really need to work on that series. It is June 2nd, which means it is the end of Weekly Reads episode 21. Let's go over the 8 books that I have going and talk about them a little bit. The first 2 are ones I talk about all the time. It is the Bible and the Gratitude Journal. I'm just slowly working on them and will be for the remainder of the year. The third one is Whispers of Hope by Beth Moore. This is a devotional. It is not in my favorite style. I'll probably talk about it more when I finish it because I am enjoying it. I think there are great nuggets of information, but just the style of it isn't my favorite. I am 62% of the way through that. The next one is one I was really hoping to get finished by the end of this week, and it did not happen. That is Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. I'm about 47% of the way through. I didn't make a ton of progress. We weren't just like relaxing outside very often last week, which is when I typically read a lot of my physical book, especially during the summer. My kids are here, and we had a lot of early mornings, which again is where I read my physical book. Neither of those really happened, so not much progress was made. And I talked about at the beginning, that's definitely not one of my favorite books, so I'm not itching to read it either. It is due by the end of week 22, so I want to get it finished in the next week. The 4th book is Wild and Wrangled by Linde Sage. This is the 4th book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. This book is a second chance romance between Cam and Dusty. We have met both of these characters in previous books, especially Cam, but she gets left at the altar at the very beginning and Dusty is there to kind of help her. The 2 of them end up staying on the same property. They have a really big past, which we are digging into. It's been a really fun book so far. I'm about 50% of the way through. Another book I am at 50% into is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is a swimmer's dark romance where Scarlett is a diver and Lucas is a swimmer. They are both at college together and they end up being thrown together by Lucas's ex. Actually, it's a very weird way that they meet, and that I honestly got more hung up on than the dark romance stuff. I would definitely look at triggers before you read this book. I really do like how this book approaches things in the bedroom and how they talk about it and are constantly checking in with each other. The next book is Leap of Faith by Lisa Bouchard. This is a cozy, witchy mystery book, and I really liked it. I got about 7% in, but it was one of the 25 books I want to read in 2025. I wasn't going to finish it by the end of the month, as you saw, so I about faced and decided to read Resilient Redneck, which I am still in the middle of. I'm halfway through. It is by James Harold Webb, and it's his autobiography, and so he's talking about his life, and I just needed a break from that last night, so I got 50% in and went back to Wild and Wrangled to read a little bit. So I will be finishing Resilient Redneck probably today, but yes, I'm only 50% in. The other 50% shouldn't take me very long. That's the end of week 21, and I will start week 22 now.